Hey guys, what's up? It's Ripe again. In today's video, my smug homeowner association neighbor is vegan and hates me for having barbecue parties with my friends. She even threatens to call the police on me and harasses me for drying my t-shirts outside. Here is what happened. Let's dive right into the story. People of the internet, it has finally happened. The HOA actually sided with me instead of my horrible Karen neighbor. First, I'm of course gonna say that I know most people hate HOAs and find them useless. I'm not saying that they are great, just that they took my side, and for that I am happy. Honestly, the HOA here tends to keep their nose out of people's business unless it is actually something serious that needs to be addressed. Like the one time some neighbor decided it would be funny to pile his leaves and let kids jump in them, but had the leaves covering a big rock. Anyway, about what happened this nice day when I was trying to get the last shred of summer fun by hosting a barbecue. I invited family and friends to come enjoy a nice relaxing day and have some amazing barbecue that me and my brother were cooking. He brought his grill, I had my grill, and I also had a smoker that had been cooking a brisket for a long time. The only snack in the entire day was that my clothes dryer had broken and my shirts were soaking wet. Not a problem, as I just set up a small clothesline in my driveway and was gonna let the sun dry them the old-fashioned way. The party had started and everything was going great at first. Kids were running around the yard playing, adults were chatting, grilling and drinking some beer. Then my neighbor decided to poke her nose over the fence and yelled at me to come over and talk to her. To be honest, I never liked her and I knew it was gonna be trouble. I went through because I didn't want her coming over to my side of the fence and disrupting the party. Neighbor, you need to stop this now. Me, stop what? I knew she meant the party, but honestly it was pretty quiet and it was not late in the day, so there should not have been a problem. Neighbor, I don't know what kind of neighborhood you think this is, but we have rules around here. I am vegan and the smell of that grilled meat is making me feel sick to my stomach. You cannot push your way of life onto me. I found this ironic because it seemed she was the one doing that by telling us to not cook meat in our own yard. Me? I'm sorry if the smell bothers you, but we have a right to have a barbecue on our property. Neighbor, plus you're putting out your disgusting dirty clothes that anybody could walk by and see. Whatever child saw that? Me? They are just shirts. I'm sure every single child knows what a shirt is. Neighbor, I'm gonna call the HOA and they are going to give you fines for all of this. You better get rid of all of this before they get here. I can make sure you get kicked out of your house for this. I really don't know why she was that angry about what we were doing. To an extent I would understand if it was late at night, we were blasting music and there were drugs, etc. Heck, even if the clothing I was drying out were my boxers. A quiet barbecue and shirts should not cause a normal person to have this much outrage. I told my wife and brother but tried to keep the party fun and not stressed for anybody. The brisket was almost done anyway and people were smelling it and getting excited. My father taught us a family brisket recipe that has always been popular. About an hour later, some people from the HOA arrived and the neighbor was peeking over the fence again, yelling that we were forcing our meat-eating ways on her and putting dirty laundry in the front yard. Because she was not stopping, one of them had to go over and talk to her while another one spoke to me. I explained about my dryer breaking and that I was not trying to force her to come over or eat meat. She was not just one of those vegans that had a belief and personally followed it, she was the kind that hated people that ate meat and wanted to force them to stop by doing stupid things, like in this case calling the HOA. I could hear her talking to the other HOA member over the fence saying that I was lucky she did not call the police because she was sure me having a party without her consent as my neighbor was breaking some law. Along with calling PETA on me because barbecue was somehow the same thing as animal torture in her book. I could also hear another HOA board person telling her that nothing I was doing was against the HOA bylaws and she had to calm down and leave me alone. Meanwhile, the guy I was talking to was basically telling me the same thing. HOA guy, listen, so you're not in trouble or anything. We are going to calm her down, but you just enjoy your party and try to ignore her. I thanked him and even offered both of them a plate of brisket and coleslaw, which they accepted, making my neighbor even angrier because they were now meat-eating heathens in her book. This might be where a story would end, but I was mad at her for trying to ruin my party and wanted to get some revenge. My dryer was not gonna be fixed for a while since the guy needed to order a part. I was going to just go to the laundromat and spend the money, but now I had a different idea. I got a few more clotheslines and put them up in the backyard to hang all of our wet clothing to dry. If she was gonna complain about a few shirts, then I was going to make her see a ton more. Not just that, but I started talking loudly with my wife while we hung things up about what kind of meat we should barbecue next. I know it might seem a little petty, but I was having a ton of fun and saying things just to get under the skin of my neighbor. Talking about foreign meat and parts of the animal that get eaten, but would not be the first thing you would imagine at a barbecue. We even talked about pitching a block party to the HOA, and I would be willing to do all the smoking and grilling so everybody could enjoy. Keep in mind that she could have kept her nose away from the fence and would not have seen or heard any of it. She just had to be nosy, and because of it we were going to have a great time making her regret it. Now, just a note that I have no issues with people who don't eat meat. I would never force it on them, and if they ask me not to talk about it with them, I would not. Most vegans I can get along with fine, it is just a few like my neighbor that are horrible. I will always respect the fact that somebody does not eat certain things, just as long as they respect me back for having my own opinion and choosing to eat it. I think now with the HOA on my side, she might leave me alone next time I have a party. And yeah, Ripe Stars, I guess that is one of the surprising cases where the HOA is not actually the a-hole, but instead is helping OP. I feel like sometimes we certainly need these stories as well, because certainly it would be impossible that all HOAs in the world are absolutely terrible. Still, if I had the choice, I would not want to live in one. The next one is titled, I will search everything you want. 3 years ago, I was working in a popular local cafe in the middle of a big city. Obviously, there were a lot of customers during rush hours. And of course, the usual Karens. At the time of this story, I was just finishing my training to be fully hired. The manager, Steve, was an utterly obnoxious person who was overall very disturbing. He would tell us to do something and then change his mind while we were halfway through it. Anyways, he was not exactly competent, but we were low on staff and the owner desperately needed a manager. So this one day, I'm just clocking in and I see my first clients are a bunch of kids and their Karen of a mom. And yes, she had the haircut. The following conversation ensued. Karen, what are your muffin flavors? Me, we have naming all the muffin flavors. Karen interrupting me, no, I would just take one of those special edition muffins. She points to the back of the kitchen like she's expecting me to make them for her. Me, oh sorry. Those are limited edition muffins. We don't have them anymore. Karen rolling her eyes, yeah, I know, just give me 5 of them. Me, a bit louder, thinking she did not hear me, we don't have those anymore, ma'am. I am sorry. Karen, just give me them. What is wrong with you? Get me your manager. Now, at this point, I am pretty pissed because this woman is screaming at me at the top of her lungs and gathering all the attention towards her. So I do as she asked and get her the manager. Steve looks mad as soon as I disturb him. He goes to see the Karen and comes back to me. Steve, just give her the muffins now. Me, we don't have any of those muffins left. I already explained that to her. Steve, there are some left, just find them. Me, where are they? I'm pretty positive we don't have any left. Steve, I don't care about your opinion, just find them already. Ask others to help you find them if you're that dumb, and don't go back to that lady or any other clients until you find those muffins. Me, thinking about what he just said, okay sir, I will give her the muffins. Steve, that's better. So I go and try to find them everywhere in the store. Of course, there's none left as the muffins are seasonal items, and since none arrived in stock, there's no special edition muffins left. Cue malicious compliance. Since Steve told me to not go back to that lady or any other clients until I found the muffins, I do exactly that. Since he also told me to ask others for help, I make sure to let every employee know my desperate need for help in finding the muffins. Now, in the end, since no one liked Steve anyways, we all went searching for the muffins. For several hours, clients kept pouring in until one of them dared to ask what we were all doing running around. I calmly explained that our manager sent us searching for something and we could not work until we found it. I insisted that our hands were tied and we would not serve them until our manager said so. Every single client went banging on Steve's door demanding to talk to him. As soon as he opened the door, everyone started yelling at him to let the employees serve them. Visibly confused by so many people in the cafe and in front of him, he shouted my name. I was not allowed to stop searching, so I replied by yelling back too. He eventually came in front of me and asked me what the F was going on. The following conversation was priceless. Me? Oh, I was just searching for the muffins. Steve looking like he was about to pass out. What? Why? Me? Well, you asked me to find them and to get help if needed. You insisted I should not go serve anyone until I find them. Since we never found them, we never got to work again. Steve, realizing he just lost hours of profits. Seriously? Go back to work now! Me with a smug smile on my face. But we didn't find the muffins yet, sir. Would you like to search with us? Steve went ballistic on me, saying this was insubordination, that I had the IQ of a slug, etc. Meanwhile, the Karen sent multiple complaints to the owner about the manager. At the end of the day, the owner personally came in to announce to Steve that he was fired and replaced by one of my co-workers. We never had any other seasonal muffins after that. And the next one is titled, Never Lowball Me. On November 17th, 2010, I was involved in a major vehicle accident, 18-year-old kid's fault. I was in the hospital for 6 days and was on disability home rest for 3 months for recovery. There were back issues and a fused spine. When I was coherent enough to deal with business, I started talks with his insurance company. From the very start, they lowballed me on price from just about everything. $600 value for a $3,500 car, Kelly Blue Book valued it at $3,690, and I had a brand new paint job on it from 3 months prior. Their value? Around $32, and 4 brand new tires not even 2 months old, valued at $5 a tire. They browbeat me into thinking that this was how the process worked. Nearly convinced me to settle. This insurance company wanted to cut me a check for $700 and some change within 5 minutes of talking to me. The negotiations started horribly and I could not get them to budge for nearly a week. I talked to my lawyer and he could not help but gave me great advice. I got additional advice from my own insurance agent on how to deal with them and basically asked professionals on how to approach this. It turns out this insurance company the kid used was the shadiest last resort of the last resort kind. My lawyer, who dealt with the medical bills, not car issues, told me, edit, removed apparent personal information, with the record this kid had, he was paying close to $1,600 every 6 months. He was uninsurable by all standards, but it was his insurance company that was the worst of the worst. They were playing the waiting and scare tactics game with me, but they had not planned on was a guy with nothing but time on his hands, and my jimmies had definitely been rustled. I inquired on every single item in and on my car, I located receipts, got estimates on everything I had, and bombarded them with faxes and paperwork. At every opportunity, I begged and pleaded with the companies I dealt with and estimates to overinflate the price of the cost. $700 repair for a leather jacket, $2,300 for a Dell i3 laptop, and $160 for designer jeans. Probably Kirkland signature if I recall. This insurance company only budged a bit on the fair market value price, so they started playing a new game with me, not taking my calls or not responding to my emails. When my claims adjuster agent did call back, my phone would ring once, as in 5 seconds, and he would hang up so it looks like they made an attempt to call. I would immediately return the call but would get, "Your claims adjuster just stepped out of the office," or "He is headed into the meeting," from the operator and receptionist. Nearly 3 weeks of these phone tag and email aversion games led me to create a detailed plan of my agent's whereabouts and excuses of why he could not take my calls. I then upped my game. I called his bosses, talked to other agents, and told my story to all of them. When that got nowhere, I upped my game even more. I called every single hour, on the hour, for 8 business days in a row. I was on a first-name basis with 4 of his co-workers, and I knew his supervisor's name and boss's name and had all of their extensions and email addresses on speed dial. I was even CCing all of them on every email I sent, so my agent had zero excuse that he did not get my calls. Shortly after, a settlement offer was sent via mail, as he refused to talk to me at all over the phone in the amounts of $1.8K for my vehicle and $1,200 for my personal items. I wanted $3.5K and $1.750K and was not gonna settle for less. He chose to make this personal and not business, so I did the only logical thing. I made it business in the worst possible way. I called on a Friday afternoon and left a message on every coworker's phone as well as the supervisor's phone that because my agent refuses to negotiate properly nor return my calls, that I would now be calling all of them every hour on the hour as well as the supervisor and boss, leaving detailed messages to call me back and offer me what my vehicle and personal items were worth. I stated that I would be starting this on Monday morning, 8 AM sharp. Needless to say, by Tuesday afternoon I had a settlement offer of $3.2K for my vehicle and $1.7K for my personal effects. These are dollar figures that were very fair and almost generous in the industry, but I replied back with the following: "See, what bothers me is that I would have settled for less than this amount far earlier in the negotiations." But after all this time and effort, I will not settle for anything less than 3.5k for my vehicle and $1,810 for my personal effects. I will start calling again tomorrow morning until these terms are met. Within 2 hours of leaving that message, I had a new email with the settlement offer of 3.5k for my vehicle and 1.8k for personal effects. I accepted, much to their delight. And the next one is titled Revenge on the New Guy. I've been dating this guy I really liked for 3 months. I was happy and I thought things were going great. Eventually, I kind of just started feeling like he was not being honest with me, so I wanted to end things. Every time I would bring up my concerns, he assured me it was all in my head and I needed to relax. He had at least 2 chances to leave me alone. Even though I liked him, I just could not shake the feeling. The day before yesterday he showed me something funny on Facebook he posted, but when I went back the next morning I could send it to one of my friends and it was not there. So I started searching him under a different name and I found his real Facebook with all the pictures and videos of his actual long-term girlfriend in another state. He looked very much in love and I was very disappointed because I never knew and would not have stayed around if I would have. And I gave him chances to leave me alone. So yesterday I spent all day signing him up for everything I could find that asked for a number. Cat facts, weather updates in different states, car insurance quotes, life insurance, Bible verses, coupons, just everything I could find. His phone will be so full of spam. Then I posted screenshots of our conversations all over their pictures together from as recent as the night before. And I took out his name so the number was visible at the top. He was so mad at me. I have never done anything like this before, but for years men have been lying to me, breaking my heart, making me feel stupid, and it hurts, and I just snapped. But I don't feel bad and will not apologize. And yeah, Ripe Stars, I certainly hope that this person soon finds a suitable partner and not some douchebag that tries and cheats on her. But anyway, we have reached the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed today's stories, and if you did, I would very much appreciate it if you could like the video, because that would help me tremendously. Thank you so much, and I will see you again tomorrow.